Welcome to Tell Me Everything. I'm Marissa, your host, and I'm a self-proclaimed thinkaholic. I've always been the person who asks one more question, stays curious, and loves getting beneath the surface. I'm constantly wondering how people think, why we do what we do, and what we can learn from one another. And that curiosity is what inspired me to create this podcast. I wanted to build a space where we can have real conversations, hear different perspectives, and continue learning and growing together. I truly believe connection is one of the greatest forms of medicine. It reminds us that we are not alone, it helps us better understand ourselves and each other, and it creates space for growth. Here on Tell Me Everything, we talk about wellness, personal growth, mindset shifts, relationships, and experiences that shape who we are. I am so happy that you are here, and thank you so much for being a part of this community.
Speaking of tacos, you still down for fajitas tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Tequila.
Yummy,
Margarita.
Maybe.
Me too. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe.
Year after COVID, that 2021, when the kids had the option to come back, and a lot of them didn't come back. I mean, we were the only ones. It was just staff on campus. The school buildings were awkward. They were creepy. That was the hardest year of my career, and honestly, it changed my love for the... I haven't been the same worker since, because I was taught that you can change, like the kids having the option to go online. Yes, it didn't work for some, but it worked for many, and the evidence showed it. And then once I saw the kids just not return, and we were still, testing was waived. So there was a lot of things that were different then, but the kids were still passing, and we tailored curriculum to them to get it. Like, we were resourceful. We did it, and we did it for them. And they were still learning their 4 core subjects, and they were still taking their electives. So I was like, why the hell am I doing a commute and going to this school building every freaking day? I just kind of lost that flow. And since then, I don't know. I just feel like it's been different for me as an educator, honestly.
Well, and I'll tell you the truth. Now that I'm a remote educator, it's very creepy.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking to like 60 to 80 kids at once. Yeah. And I'm at a desk that's basically, 2 by 3.
Yeah.
That can sometimes be a little off-putting. Before my son came home to join me, and he ended up enrolling at my school, it was just me. And the dog didn't really come to bother me that much, and the cat didn't come to bother me that much. So I was by myself in a room.
Yeah.
And Lauren knows what I watch every single day in the background. Old episodes of The Price is Right. Not because I necessarily like The Price is Right that much, but the sound of the clapping, the bells, Bob Barker's voice, and just reruns over and over again. It sounds like me growing up as a kid on a sick day during my Gen Z years. And so, it reminds me of being home. Yeah. Because when I had nothing on, I was weirded out. Yeah. And then I tried to put the news on for a while, but the news became so incredibly infuriating no matter what channel I put on. I couldn't do it anymore. So I said, what's nice, good old, clean American fun? And I found that they had a channel that's just The Price is Right. The Barker years.
I think
not even Drew Carey.
My neen would love that. She's my great
awesome,
aunt.
It's awesome. All right, so what I was going to ask you was, and I'm happy I mentioned The Price is Right because it kind of brings in money a little bit one way or another. The reason that people get into charter education, the reason companies buy into it is because they think that the price is right. There's very little buy-in, and there's a chance for pretty high success. Because you're not putting your own money into the school, you're putting the money from the district into the school. Doesn't mean you don't have some kind of an overhead, but it's not as much as starting a regular old business, you know what I mean? As someone who comes from that public vantage point and not having experienced this directly, would you have concern about seeing a child's education heavily influenced, because it is, by profit?
It's like a sore subject for me, because I really don't think that schools should benefit from test scores and gaining profits off of test scores and diagnostics.
All right, so let me follow that up. Let's say test scores didn't matter.
Okay.
And let's say all that mattered was the ratings the school had. And you know that choice is open enrollment, and public school is who you're zoned for. Again, though, the charter environment will make money as as their enrollment grows,
Right.
that's what builds the amount of money they get. So the bigger they get, the more money they're getting.
Okay.
So again, knowing that there's a profit, forget the testing. This just matters just simple school ratings.
Okay.
Would you be okay with that as an educator? Just simply seeing just flat, without thinking about anything else, a child's education being linked to a profit.
I mean, isn't that how private schools are ran?
But they're not collecting money from the government. They're collecting money from the people that are paying them to send their children there.
Oh, yeah. I truly don't know how to answer this question because
your tax dollars goes to charter and goes to public.
That's kind of crazy.
Your
And then
tax
so somebody
dollars
else can
technically
make money off that?
That's what I'm saying. If you have charter schools in your school district, that money goes to every single school. So in other words, where she teaches, there is a public elementary school and a public high school and a public middle school all within 2 to 3 miles from where she's at.
That's kind of nuts.
And so when they all pay their property taxes, their school gets a portion of that property tax. And then what's never not spent on those kids goes as profit to the company that runs the charter school. That's why I'm asking, because this is we're going to get in a second about talking about social media, but this is the transition. This is where you mentioned, and you said exactly what I say all the time. We have to be open to change.
Okay.
We have to be open to changing not only the way that we teach, but the way that we expect to know if our kids learned what we taught them and how we delivered that message and what was delivered. So in the sense that social construct means so much to so many people. How you fit in to where you are and how your society looks at you. Mm-hmm. A reason that teachers complain a lot is because they think they're not valued. Mm-hmm. Because they're not paid. Mm-hmm. Not every single job in society can be valued on a financial basis. Some jobs in society are valued strictly on I don't want to say romantic, but an emotional connection. You know what I mean? For instance, a priest and the people in their church.
Okay.
That's a connection that you have, a spiritual connection, emotional connection. You're not giving money back and forth. The people that pay that priest salary is the archdiocese of that individual area. He's hired, or the deacon's hired, or the nun is hired to go to a place by the archdiocese to serve for Christ. That's the idea of those positions. But that is not a purely monetary kind of thing. Well, a lot of people value teaching as though they are a priest or as they are a clergy. That same kind of love. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't necessarily mean that money's going to come from it. So my point is that when I hear a lot of times we talk about, how teachers are undervalued, that's why I get a little annoyed at that comment, because now we start seeing more education coming into social media.
Okay.
Over the last 5 or 6 years since COVID. Because we've started to change the way that we look at including social media in our classrooms. A lot of educators feature on social media. Good, bad, indifferent, funny, indoctrination, whatever section of that whole group that they are. Mm-hmm.
Well, listen,
yeah.
I see both sides because I feel like, hang on, I just want to check our sound. Is your sound sounding normal? Am I sounding normal to you? Okay. It just might be me. Sorry. Okay, sorry. I feel like, all right, I'm on both sides. I don't know how I felt when it came to teachers not getting a raise, because I get what you're saying once you lay out all the cards, but now I'm hearing charter schools and the businessmen at the tippy top that had the money to invest are the ones, yet again, making the money. And then the people in the trenches working and being creative and relaying that information, trying to reach these kids for growth potential. You're making less than me. Mm-hmm. I struggle with the concept of what you were saying with, do it for the passion, because I think the passion-driven people have to keep up with the daily economics, and then they're going to be like, I can't actually afford to be in this career anymore.
So what I will say is, number one, I love that answer.
Okay, thank you.
Because there should be confliction. Uh-huh. Because if you look at any general opinion polls, the general public is conflicted.
Yeah.
There's very few people that are on either side, and I am conflicted.
Mm-hmm.
I individually am conflicted because Lauren and I joke. We have a colleague that's one of our colleagues that teaches PE. Me and her joke all the time that I'm probably the only teachers that hates teachers. Okay? And I don't hate teachers. There's plenty of people that I look up to.
But I will say, if you want to get scrutinized real bad, and you think you're a good presenter, go ahead and present in front of a room full of teachers.
Yeah.
They're going to rip you. I don't care if you are the best TED talker of the universe. They're going to rip you to shreds.
You've been in my professional development sessions. I do pretty good, I think. I do pretty good.
Doesn't matter. They are tough. I don't care what school you go to.
because they're entitled. Because here's the thing. You have 3 groups of teachers, and we're going to get into social media because I want to talk about that in education because that, to me, is something that a lot of adults that are in charge, early Gen Xers, late boomers, are not quite understanding how to include. Us later Gen X, early millennials, those that were born in the late 70s, early 80s, are seeing a purpose for it. And we have to have a generational switch here soon to look at how it can be incorporated. But I just want to kind of finish on this note of sort of being conflicted about the whole thing. In the end, the goal has to be to teach our kids. The goal has to be to get our kids ready to function in a world that is changing by the year. When I was my son's age, I'm not going to age myself too much, but when I was my son's age, we didn't even have a modem in our house yet. And he's going to be 12 this August. All right. My dad's house did, my mom's house did not. We couldn't even connect to the internet by the time I was 12. We didn't get our first modem till I was 13.
Wow.
So my point is that in his life, he has never known a world that you couldn't get something instantly at your fingertips.
Right.
And then I'm also going to be a little appropriate. I used to like to download pictures of naked women with my modem as a teenage boy. You should see the patience it takes to see eyes, nose, mouth, neck, top of boobs, nipples.
It would like buffer out. No way.
And then it would buffer again. So slowly, but I could see 2 nipples. Oh man. Oh no, those are just the tops of the areolas. Fuck, I didn't see it. Okay, I got it. And it would pull down like that over and over again. Or if you wanted to see like any kind of potential moving pictures, like if you didn't have like a super strong like 6K connection, you're downloading like 16 different still shots and you're making a flip book of some guy's, schlong going blum blum or whatever else. Like you couldn't. It was terrible. So like you'd be quenching your eyes to the scrambled porn on channel 99 on Comcast. Yes, it wasn't called Xfinity. It was called Comcast, and we had like 40 channels. It went from like 1 to 39, and then 99 was Playboy. And it wasn't even like hardcore porn. It was just naked women dancing on screen. It was stupid. So today, you can go see 2 girls share human poop in a cup, and it's completely normal. So the reason I'm saying that, and the reason I'm sort of making that point is not to be like gross or like inappropriate, but it's to make us understand that things have changed. We have changed. I tell my students all the time when I would teach in Holocaust class, we would talk about other protected groups. We would talk about homosexuals. When I was their age, people that were gay were being dragged along the road of Wyoming and left attached to a fence. Matthew Shepard, look him up. And 25 years later, we have had openly gay men serve in the last 3 presidential administrations. Buttigieg with Biden. Trump had one his first 4 years. I forget who it is. And right now I'm blanking on who it is now. But there have been high-ranking homosexuals in the last 3 presidential administrations. Barney Frank, who just passed away, look up Barney Frank. He was one of the first openly gay congressmen. He led the way. But my point is that he didn't have many that followed him until recently. We have our first transgendered representative in Congress from Delaware. And wherever you fall in that stuff, I have my own opinions on it. I'll save that for another day. But we've had so much change. To expect everybody to be open to all this change overnight isn't possible.
Well, yeah.
It's not.
It's not realistic.
It's not realistic. But that's what is expected of us. I'm here. I have a septum ring and purple hair. Love me. It doesn't work that quick. Listen, when I see a pit bull on the street, I'm going to be careful around that pit bull at first.
Yeah,
I just
that's
said I
true.
grew up in Baltimore, which is like one of the capital cities of dog fighting. I know how aggressive pit bulls and Rottweilers are.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I see one, but I'll tell you what, I have learned through a lot of animal clubs that I've sponsored in the past, if they're raised the right way, I'm going to start crying when I say this because I feel bad for them. I love animals, but they're sweet dogs.
Mm-hmm.
But you develop the fear of that, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot of Jewish family. They see a German Shepherd because they've been taught by previous generations of how bad German Shepherds are. They're much more cautious around him. Even though our dog now is half German Shepherd. He's a doll. He's a big bitch, but he's never going to hurt anybody.
Right.
Like, so my point is that one of the things that we have to start changing our opinion on is how social media is used.
Okay, yeah.
And how we use it as teachers and educators and how it has a place. I mean,
I'm so happy you're bringing this up because I have family members that I don't even feel comfortable saying this, but it's what I've experienced. They don't see the value in social media. Yes, they want to live a private life and they should. Everybody has that right. But there's advantages to having social media, and it's a tool and it's a resource now. It's not so much like when I was going to college where it was just something to show everybody your party pictures and what you did on Friday and Saturday nights. Like we've moved away from that now. And like one of the arguments that I had with somebody was, well, I have a prestigious job and a corporate job and I can't be on social media. I can't look like I was at a party or a gathering or a wedding. And I just don't even think that. I think that's a self-conflicting image that they have over social media. Like it's a personal image that they have on social media because now social media, even the biggest corporations, they want you marketing. That's how you get that's how you reach markets. So if you're not using it and you're scared of it, I'm sorry, you're never going to grow. You're not going to grow as an individual. You're not going to grow business without it. You have to learn it.
No, not at all. It's funny. When Barack Obama was elected president, this was when I just finished college. And in high school and in college, if anyone's familiar with the old television show Family Ties, I don't know if you remember the show Family Ties. Michael J. Fox, famous for Back to the Future, was the leading teenage actor on it. And he played a role, Alex P. Keaton. If anyone's older than maybe 40 years old that watches this, they should know what Family Ties is. He was Mr. Young Republican.
Okay.
He was high school Republican, college Republican. He always talked about Reagan. He loved Ronald Reagan. I was basically Alex P. Keaton in high school and college. Loved Rush Limbaugh, loved Sean Hannity. I loved everybody on the right. I didn't have a grandfather, but my grandfather was right before I was born. So my great uncles, I used to spend a lot of time, would listen to Rush Limbaugh in the car. They listen, if you know New York, 770 WABC, one of the most conservative radio stations in the country. They used to listen to WABC because they lived in the suburbs of New York City. So in Connecticut. So going up there in summers and hearing all those people on the radio. And developing a very conservative mentality as a teenager. And usually don't get a lot of conservative teenagers. Usually most teenagers, if they have a political opinion, they're usually much more progressive in mindset. And then in college, I was the vice president treasurer of the Maryland College Republicans across the state. I served as an officer with the College Republican National Committee. I did a lot of things with college and young Republicans around the state of Maryland and the country. Campaigned with our governor that won in 2002, and then campaigned myself for election in 2006 and lost. But that era of my life, I was very politically motivated. I was very politically involved. And in 2008, the night that Barack Obama won, I had been a huge fan of John McCain. John McCain, and what he went through in Vietnam and everything that he had represented as an American hero.
Okay.
I would have loved at least just 4 years with him as president. He's what I think Biden could have been if Biden was younger. Older gentleman who had lived the incredible life and could lead with a very gentle hand. I think by the time Biden had his chance, he was just too old.
Yeah. And
he had a lot of really poor advisors below him that took advantage of that. I think the same thing is true what we have now, but we can get into that another day. But to get back to McCain, I loved him. And when he won, I basically, and by the way, he won a lot because Obama won a lot because Bush really went unpopular his last 4 years. And I lost in the midterms in 2006. So I lost in a wave of anti-Republican fervor. So I ran as a Republican. I won a primary as a Republican. Like I remember I was interviewed. I went to talk to community centers and
That's
all
crazy. I
sorts
did
of
not
groups.
know this.
Oh yeah. It was at least like 10, 15 grand. I had bumper stickers, t-shirts. I'll get you a t-shirt. I'll
That's
get you a
cool.
t-shirt. Yeah, I'll get you a
Yeah.
t-shirt. I had my polo and my jacket still at home that I used to wear. I had my name tag, candidate
old
for
were
District
you?
11. I was 24 years old running for a state office. It was a dream that I always had. But I learned that politics is dirty.
Yeah.
They wanted to take my volunteers to march for somebody else at my hometown parade. And I said no, and that was the last help I got from the state Republican Party. So again, I wasn't hurt by it. I get it. It's a business to them.
Yeah.
I understand it. You know, you care more about the governor winning his office than a local delegate. But the people that came to march for me, there was like 15, 20 of my fraternity brothers and friends that were all wearing my shirts and handing candy out.
I like that.
I'll see if I could find the photo, but I had a blue dress shirt with a red tie. It was Labor Day weekend. I was sweating like a pig. And I was walking on both sides of the street and shaking kids' hands. I did a couple different parades. It was great. It was a great experience for me. But my point is that I was very deeply politically involved. And when Barack Obama won, after I had lost 2 years before, an election that I thought I had I got 17,000 votes. Like I did pretty good.
Yeah, wow.
But I didn't win. And then I kind of got out of politics. I kind of stopped paying attention to it. My parents didn't like the fact I was into politics because, like you said, a lot of the people that you've mentioned, you know, they think they can't get involved. They can't make public statements. They have to make statements behind closed doors. Luckily, I got my mother's non-filter who just says whatever the fuck she wants. I'm sorry, I shouldn't swear. Maybe you can bleep
I'd
it out.
rather be like
But
that.
100%. Like, Marissa knows. There are times at school where I had the nerve to say things, but if it wasn't for my work mom, who she probably will never see this, but I loved my work mom who was 2 doors down from me. I still cry every time I think about her. But I remember she would make sure that I kind of, I kind of kept or a couple of my very close work friends, they made sure that I kept my mouth shut. But, and now that I've kind of moved on from that and not really in person, I've learned to be a lot more comfortable and just saying whatever the fuck I think. And that's it. Sorry, I swore again. I'll get back off the swearing.
It's done. You can swear.
But the overall idea is that, what was I kind of lost my train of thought for a second.
You were talking about...
I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
You were just talking about how we went back. We got back to how you. Now I have ADHD, and I think it's contagious.
But let's get back to the topic at hand.
Okay.
And that's the idea of the fact that we have to change our view on social media.
Yeah,
we have to start looking at it as
It's a tool. This is a business.
Exactly.
This is it's an economy and it's an ecosystem, and it's if you're going to fear it or you're going to say, I'm better, I don't need it, I just think you're limiting yourself. I mean, and you can limit yourself.
During COVID, our school had a teacher. I'm not going to put her name out there, but I'll just say that she's a very eclectic science teacher who does a lot of biology things, and I'll leave it at that. Danced on tables on camera dressed up like Lady Gaga during COVID. And she was one of the leading people in data that year when kids got back to taking exams in the split year. Why?
Because it was
the
engaging.
Kids adored that stuff. Here's the truth of this generation. Anybody that wants to be a teacher or work with the public who's below the age of 18, you have to be a goddamn fucking circus performer now to get anybody to want to listen. She's laughing. I'm serious. You can't just get a kid anymore by simply just being a rock.
Like, you cannot walk into classrooms and be like, oh, okay, we're turning the smartboard on. We're writing on the board. Everybody eyes on me. They will the kid.
They can't do it.
They can't do it.
You
Yeah.
have to develop a group mentality first and foremost, because most of these kids live in this digital environment where it's them and a screen. So they have to understand that they're a part of a group when they're in your room, and then you have to get them to understand that a group is a culture, and the culture you have to set. So many young teachers go in trying to be the chill, fun type. and they get, excuse my language, fucked in about 3 or 4 weeks. No KY. I mean, seriously raw in uncomfortable places like the back of a Volkswagen. And hopefully some of you know what reference that movie is to.
God.
I think Mallrats is one of the best 5 movies ever made. Ben Affleck is just great in that movie as the prick, and it's just a good movie. Anyway, you've seen Mallrats?
Oh, Mallrats, yes.
It's an incredible movie. That's where I got it from, getting, fucked somewhere uncomfortable like the back of a Volkswagen. Joey Lauren Adams has great. Okay, so at any rate, I'll get back on topic. But my I guess my overall point is that we have to find a way to use this tool to use that mentality that these kids have to be entertained.
Yeah.
To use more, to almost get into more of an edutainment kind of thing.
Edutainment. Did you make up that word?
No, that's a very popular word.
Oh,
no.
it is?
Yeah. That's an industry standard for Hollywood that functions in things like Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers.
Oh, so it's always existed.
Yeah.
Oh, I never heard of it before.
It's basically the foundation of public television, edutainment.
Oh, I like it.
You know what? I should have said that I did make it up. Now I'm mad that I told the truth.
I know. I'm glad you told me the truth.
Like, listen, I'm not going to make fun of myself because my wife is sitting literally over there, so I'm not trying to mac or anything. But women never listen to me. So she was actually willing to listen to me. I should have just let her believe it and let her go on, man. That was foolish on my part. Okay, lesson learned. Listen, teachers are the worst students, but I'm going to be a good student and make sure I let just people believe that I know what I'm talking about. No, but sort of my point is that if you ask my parents, you ask your parent, or ask our parents' generation, they look at it as something that scares them because of the way that it's reported on.
Okay.
The way that people bring stuff up in the news that they're used to. Newspaper, nightly news on TV. They see where this person tweeted this, this person posted that. And then they start to see the negatives of it with the way people react to postings.
Well, I was saying it to my friend today about everybody attacking Cooper in this right now. Right now, she's like in the highlight. And there's a digital it's like a digital online paparazzi now. Like the paparazzi attacked JFK Jr.'s wife and Princess Diana, and now that happens, but it's digital. They're probably not going to sleep outside your house anymore. I don't think that exists anymore. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I think because everyone has a cell phone and access, it's more like your comments and they're going to make everything's going to blow up about you.
By the way, side note, because I do want to get back to this. The casting on that show for JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette.
You liked it, right?
The way that they looked. Forget anything else. But their pure looks. That was one of the best casting jobs I have ever seen on TV ever.
And you remember him, right?
Of course I remember him.
I don't. Like, I think I was too young for him, but he was
I was born in 82.
He was hot.
So I'm in my mid-40s now.
Yeah.
I remember him. I remember the breaking news coming on television.
You were a kid, though.
Yeah, but I still remember it.
Yeah. I don't remember it.
They thought he had landed first.
Oh, they did?
That was the first thought, that he had landed and he'd lost radio communication. And then when they realized the plane hadn't landed, they realized he was kaput.
Talk about a cursed family.
Well, I will say this, and then I want to get back to talking about social media because I have my feelings about the Kennedys and the Bushes and all of these supposed American political dynasties, which we aren't supposed to have.
I know.
That's the whole reason we fought a war. We didn't want the same family in charge. Okay, and by the way, this is coming from someone who doesn't hate Trump, but I don't want Don Jr. and then Kirshner. I don't want every single one of them in the White House.
Why? You think that's going to happen?
Oh, I think at least Don Jr. has the plans to make it a run. I think Eric does too. I think they both. Oh, yes.
I would
Here's
like
the
to
thing,
see
though.
Ivanka, but I don't think she would. I think she's too busy.
She won't. No, she won't. Because I know she knows she won't win.
Oh, really?
She knows she won't win.
I feel like we'd have a fair shot, though.
This is why I tell you she won't win. Because
I just feel like she's very polished and poised and has a strong team behind her. I think she had a fair shot. That's the problem.
She's too strong and poised.
Oh. Okay.
She's too strong and poised. The only reason Biden won in 2020, I'm not saying it wasn't a stolen election, but there was a lot of things that went on that were funny when we couldn't be around each other. Mm-hmm. So it's fair to say that there could have been some things that were missed in some states that ended up somewhat close.
I just always felt that if we were going to have our first female president, it was going to be her.
My gut still is the first presidential nominee that I think is going to be a female that has a really good shot to do anything, if she had the interest to do it, is Senator, I think her name is Schlossberg. She's from Toshberg. She's from Michigan.
Oh.
She served in the military. She's a very strong-voiced, somewhat progressive woman, but she has all the characteristics of toughness that Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem had without feeling like you're talking to a biker chick. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, those two scare the shit out of me. Like, they're the kind of ones that feel like the only choice is them on top. Like, there's no other choice. Like, I kind of feel like if that's the case, that's the case. You know, or the other one. Who was the other one that got, or Nikki Haley? That was the one who I thought had the best chance to be the first female president, was Nikki Haley. Because Nikki Haley, you want to talk about someone as poised, but she's also not heavily progressive or conservative.
Yeah.
She sits, Tulsi Gabbard,
but then I feel like people won't vote for that because it doesn't lean too strongly on either
Well, that's why
side.
I made the point about Ivanka Trump. She would have a hard time winning the primary. That's what I mean by winning. To win a primary, you have to swing hard to your side. Because you have to get the most dedicated people to their causes.
You don't think she swings hard on the right side? You think she's more independent?
I don't think she speaks enough hard on the right side to be able to convey that. She hasn't yet. She's not boisterous like her brothers are. Yeah. She's a loud ass like her brothers are. I think
but that's why I like her, because she's not so loud and bullish. Like
I'll tell you this.
She talks with points and validness. If
they can teach her over the next 2 years, or the next 6 years, because I think that's the window for her. I think the next 2 to 6 years. I think if they can get her to be more of a Rubio or a Hegseth in how she addresses the media, more like Levin, who I adore, the press secretary, she's amazing. I have never seen a woman who I have more respect for than the way that she handles the people that agree with her and that don't agree with her, and the people that are there in between. She's the most even-handed person. She snaps at everybody. And the fact she's only 34 is incredible. She's 10 years younger than me. Blows my mind. When I was 34, all right, I was about 375, 400 pounds. About 2 years later, I was going to end up about 425. You remember, I was heavy. I literally would look down, could not see myself when I was going to the bathroom, and you can figure out what I mean by that. Like, I couldn't walk up a set of stairs. I had trouble getting through a half day of walking through Disney.
Wow.
So that shows you like how much things can change in 10 years. So maybe if I had this mentality, then maybe I could have.
Yeah.
But I was nowhere near the ability to handle what she does.
Right.
And that's not an easy job. You saw what Pierre had to deal with Biden, the young black woman. I felt terrible for her too. And she handled it really well too.
She did.
You know, other presidents have had 3, 4, 5 different press secretaries that spin through. She stuck by all 4 years. Actually, I take that back. Jen Psaki was there for 2 years, and then she went on television. But the other one filled in the last years, and then Levine, she's been doing it since. Like, when you get that job, that's really hard because the president doesn't always talk. You do.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's a difficult job. But, you know, kind of getting back to what we were talking about with using social media, you can see the effect that it can have on populations as a whole. It basically decided the 24 election. I mean, as much as people want to pretend that you know, Kamala Harris kind of stabbed herself in the foot at the end there, it was really the social media on the right.
Reach. Well, it's the reach. Yeah.
That was able to take that and use it so much at their advantage to pelt Gen Z men, millennial women, and Hispanics. And Jews. I mean, listen, don't think for 1 second that all of the progressives that were pro-Palestine did not help Republicans gain votes in certain places. You remember that. People that were mostly to the left were the ones that were very anti-Israel.
Yeah.
And that was during the bulk of the election season.
Yeah.
And the people that ran to that side are going to push those that are more moderate Jews towards a side who were pro-Israel. And those happen to be candidates like Trump. So they're going to, people don't realize there's certain voting blocks that you can get to come out in huge amounts if you speak the right words.
Yeah.
Jewish Americans is a big group of them. When they feel as though there is an issue that is important to them, they go and vote for it because they're educated. That culture takes education seriously. And they vote for them in large numbers.
Yeah.
The same thing I'll say about Hispanic families. Rubio is a great example of that. Rubio is a senator from the state because the Cuban communities came out in Miami by the boatloads to vote for him. And not for bad. I love Marco. Sometimes I think he gets a little annoyed when he doesn't need to be. Sometimes I think he's a little too snarky. People say he's the funniest guy in the administration. I could see that because he does seem like he has a good sense of humor, but he does seem like he can also be sort of that frat boy dick at a party that, tells you that there's too many guys and you can't come in,
Yeah.
We never had that problem in our fraternity parties because we didn't really have that many parties. We were kind of the nerd fraternity. No, I'm kidding. We had plenty of parties. Once drank purple stuff off Illusion, got my tongue stuck.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't get it off. But you could see how it can sway populations like that, right? Well, it can do the same thing to teach our kids. It taught our kids so much during the pandemic.
Yeah. And
it gave kids a chance to express themselves in a very tough environment to be able to do so.
Yeah.
But I don't know how old most of the people or viewers that see this. Obviously, most of the people that follow me are students that I had. So they're in their early 20s at the oldest. Because I've been teaching since 2016. Those kids were 16, so now they're...
Wait, I do have a question for you. Since you've been more public about your points of view online, have your kids taken that by surprise, giving you feedback on it, or just kind of...
Well, I will tell you, I've always been somebody who shares my same thoughts in a classroom, a camera, or online. It's never really changed. I think that's one of the reasons why sometimes administrators, especially in more difficult situations, may not be a big fan of me because, I do. Lauren, if I could see my hat, I wore this other hat today, but I wanted to make sure that I wore this one for Marissa because I love and respect what she does so much. I can't reach it because I'm dangerous. So you can't see what it says, but it says, I'm not for everyone. And I believe in that. We're going to talk about self-care, another one of these coming up in maybe the next few weeks. I can't tell you how much understanding that is important to life, that you have to know you're not for everyone. But sort of getting back to what I was saying, my group that watches is younger. Social media is only about 20 years old.
It's new.
It's brand new. There's no FCC controls over it. There's no real litigation that's come out yet to really guide anybody to where it's gone to the Supreme Court and got any specific guidance from anybody about how to handle it.
But it's so cool. I mean, I get it's extreme because I think it also is a cause of why so many kids are struggling with anxiety and depression. There's a lot out there for them to digest and take in, and not everything is truthful and organic. And I get that, but there is a lot of creation, and a lot of kids are able to create jobs and opportunities to earn money because of it. It's just so... I was listening to a podcast, one of my favorite podcasts that I just listened to, and they were like, what I did, started a podcast of myself. Now you just need to get a microphone and you could just do it, and you can make a TV show if you really wanted to. You can make your own reality TV show now. There's nobody's regulating this, and you can just put it out there, and if it gets seen and if it tracks, and you are the boss of that. Like, you're the creator of that. And people don't need agents or to cast for something anymore. Like, that's kind of gone away. These influencers or these comedians that now start up use their social media as leverage to get a following.
So I want to preface this by saying I have a bumper sticker on the back of my truck, and it says, I want my gay cousins to protect their marijuana plants with automatic rifles. Okay? The most libertarian person you will ever meet. I am the person who believes in live and let live, die and let die. I don't have opinions about any of that. So what you're going to hear me ask is just simply devil's advocate. I'm going to grab my necklace like I have a set of pearls, okay? What about the children? Like, seriously. And it's a serious question because there is too much of the population that plays that game. I don't know if any people have ever been to Italy, but I've been to Italy. I was in Italy the year I graduated from high school. We spent almost a month up and down the coast. We lived in different towns. By the way, if you're an American and then you go to Europe and your diet changes like that, just make sure you continue to drink enough water because I had a hell of a time trying to poop. I remember that as being a pretty bad part of that trip until I developed more of a system to get used to it. I felt like I gave birth to an armadillo.
Oh my God.
Anyways, You've heard that story, right? Yeah, she knows the story. My poor grandmother was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Ah!" It's bad. But I digress. I was talking about, remind me again, I got off topic
We
for a
were
second.
off to Italy.
So when I was in Italy, you would flip around TV at 9 o'clock at night. You know, Canal 7, Canal 4, whatever it is, and you flip through. Hardcore pornography.
In Italy?
Yes. Around 8:15, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up to you is this.
Is that because kids were in bed by then and sleeping?
No, it's because Europeans don't have the same shame that Americans have about certain things.
Oh, that makes sense.
Like, look, when we're a country that less than 30 years ago freaked out that Ellen DeGeneres said she was gay on television and kissed a woman. Mm-hmm. We're a generation that less than 40 years ago freaked out that Murphy Brown was a single woman having a child. Mm-hmm. And brace yourselves, kiddos. We're only about 70 years ago from a country where people lost their mind that Mary Tyler Moore dared to wear pants on the Dick Van Dyke Show. Mm-hmm. Okay? We are a bunch of uptight motherfuckers in this country. because again, the thing that I asked, what about the joke? Okay, so I'm going to tell you a true story about my kid, all right? My kid, I have never been the Goo Goo Gaga type. My wife knows this. I used to sing him Disney songs, but that was about it. When he would go to sleep, I'd sing him, something from Sleeping Beauty or something from something soft from something like that I knew really well that I know would put him to sleep. Other than that, I wasn't that kind of a dad. I've never been that kind of dad. I called my son a shithead at 3 years old. And he, shithead. Yeah, shithead. You know, I do stuff like that. But if you know my kid, you know, he's really well adjusted.
He's so sweet.
He's so, because I want him to grow up adjusted. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it takes the guts to do that.
I know.
And hope that it works. And it doesn't always. Mm-hmm. It's the luck of the draw. Mm-hmm. And when I've learned so much about being a parent, being a teacher, being a coach, being a role model, like I have one young lady and she knows exactly who she is. I'm not going to say her name, but I'm like her father now. Mm-hmm. When she reaches out to me, we talk for maybe an hour at a time, mm-hmm. and then we don't talk again for a couple weeks. And sometimes she just wanted to be told that she's beautiful. And that kind of relationship. I don't have a girl. Mm-hmm. I have a boy. Mm-hmm. My sister and I were very close in age. Mm-hmm. And we grew up in one of our two houses was very abusive. And the two of us have a sort of a unique relationship now as adults. And my brothers are 12 and 20 years younger than me. So I'm a different generation than them. So I don't know them as well. So in many ways in life, I've been kind of a loner, which is fine. I don't really hate that. But reflecting on a lot of that stuff, I've kind of learned that person that you are to develop those relationships is so important. And social media is how you can develop that kind of personality, especially with kids who you are literally meeting for the first time. Yeah. Let's say they're ninth graders coming into a high school for the first time. I told my eighth graders this actually on camera the other day at one of our last classes. I said, you know, guys, next year you're going to be in school with adults. Mm-hmm. With adults. I said 18-year-olds. Yeah, in college. The kids like, wow, you're right. Yeah, they're adults. I'm like, I'm telling you, some of them were duly enrolled already as eighth graders. Right. So they're already in classes with college. If I said adults. But now all of you are in school now with adults. Mm-hmm. Like you're going to high school. And some of the kids who have been homeschooled for all middle school, I have one young lady who's going to school up towards Wellington. She was like, oh my God, you're right. I haven't been around anybody. Now I'm going to be around people 4 years older than me. I said, you have to remember that you got to be comfortable with where you are. Yeah. Well, if you have a faculty that has 3 or 4 people that have a fun social media presence and a school that's got a fun social media presence, how much easier does that make that transition for that 8th grader into 9th grade? Because that's the world they know. Mm-hmm. That's where they don't look. I love the idea of having a pep rally. I love the idea of having a band, and also it's fun. Mm-hmm. It makes a nice environment. But that's not truly how you get to these kids now. It's in social media. It's things that are embedded into videos. It's a digital connection that no matter how much we may do for our kids or our students, they're never going to have the same level of understanding of what that means. But it's the same for us. Yeah. You're a little bit younger than me and my wife. Me and my wife we're both born in 82. Right. But our closest family were all. So what I was saying was they were all born in the 70s. And they were your true Gen Xers. And because we were the firstborn children of our families, the kids we spent the most time around as young kids were Gen Xers. And so even though we technically fall in that millennium piece, the two of us were born so early in the 80s. We remember the 80s. We remember the same things Gen Xers do as being our reality. And in the early 90s, with the advent of cable, most of what we saw in reruns on cable were 1980s programming.
Yeah.
And so we were so embedded in the 1980s. We have that mentality. Like people that love Stranger Things, if you watch that show, not so much for the horror part, but the retro piece of the 80s, it was really deep into it. So anyway, just to sort of finish my point, those kinds of values, I think in many ways, transfer really well to this platform. And I think they transfer really well to our Gen Alpha.
Yeah, that's true.
I think millenniums, for some ways, really managed to fuck it up for the Gen Z. I think the Gen Z are starting to sort of realize, especially how bad COVID was. I think that's going to prove to be a great reset.
Yeah.
I think the attention put to AI after that and to technology
Well,
has
that's another thing
boomed.
we didn't even cover too. And I know we've been talking forever and ever, but like AI is going to be integrated in all of these kids' learning. So that's what I feel like. Yeah, I would put my kid in a smaller school. I mean, AI is a part of their learning experience now. So no, I don't think they're going to need to go to that local public school that's has a large student body that has all of these demands on it and these standards that is not molded for every single kid. So I do think we're going to see a very different education model in the future.
So again, I want to go back to my original question. Because at first you weren't ready to say that it was okay, but I want to ask you again. How do you feel knowing that that process in some of the variations can result in someone's stakeholders' profit?
Okay. I guess I'm not like disgusted. I'm not distasted by it. If you want to profit at the top, that's fine. But I do fear that if we keep doing it that way and not paying teachers a healthy living salary, you're never gonna have quality teachers, and that's a concern of mine. Unless you want robots teaching your kids, and then you profit at the top, and you're just a business, and you're just an investor in an online program, and robots run it. Then whatever, then you're signing up for that. Then that's something tailored to that. You know what I mean? But I do think teachers, a part of the value of teachers, and I do get your point of view too. Like I know I signed up for this knowing that I wasn't going to be working on Wall Street making $1 million like my finance friends, but I also have to live too. So it's still a profession. So if you're going to require people to go to school and be educated to do this job, then I think you need to pay them that way. Or just make it a certificate program, and whoever gets hired gets hired.
Okay, and then what happens if use that same whole thing you just mentioned?
Okay.
But add to the piece that if the populations that are most helped by the charter system
Okay.
are targeted groups like African Americans, free and reduced lunch students, Hispanics, groups that typically are missed by the public schools. So in other words, those populations benefit.
Right.
At the profit of somebody. Is enough social benefit, my point is enough social benefit eventually worth the profit of a company? So in other words, if public schools are struggling, and there's the charter piece that can help pick it up, and the charters show that they have success. My charter is doing very well this year. Her charter school is one of the leaders in the state. So a couple of these do very well. If we're doing well and we're lifting up proficiency numbers for groups that aren't doing well at the public schools,
should people get
is there a level of social benefit of which people can say, I understand that someone's going to make money off the fact
I feel like
that these kids are moving?
how it is in general.
But
yeah, our
not
superintendents make great money
because they have more responsibility.
Okay.
Remember, they're overseeing an entire district. They're not overseeing just one school. So when you're overseeing a school, it's a little bit less. When you're overseeing a department and so on and so forth, as it goes lower and lower.
But I imagine like that's how colleges operate, and
Well,
that's
true.
how private schools operate.
True. Well, but not necessarily. Just to give you an example, as a private school, you can be hired as a head football coach, and that's it. You could be hired as a head basketball coach, and that's it. At a public school, they can't hire you as a basketball coach, and that's it, because you got to be a teacher, or you got to be someone with a career in the community, unless you're going to live on whatever the stipend is for the year. And,
which is not good. Yeah.
Even you eat beans and ham, you ain't going to survive on $4,000. Trust the brother. It ain't going to work. And trust the brother. It came out awful. I love everybody. All right. But no, but I'm serious about that. Like eventually people have to understand that the idea of privatization is going to hit everything. Right now, NASA wouldn't exist. NASA wouldn't have any reason to even have those letters known if it wasn't for Elon Musk.
So you think education's gonna get more corporate?
It has to. Look at every other realm that's been strictly public. The railways, somewhat privatized now.
Right.
Amtrak runs as basically a private company.
Right.
The USPS had so much trouble that there are now major corporations like FedEx and UPS that had to pick up a large portion of that. Okay? A lot of the car companies that didn't take bailouts are gone. All right? During the collapse about 20 years ago. We saw a Saab the other day, and I was like, oh, I remember Saab. They haven't made that car since 2009 because it went out of business. When we had that big dip in the auto industry, when Detroit turned into, Mad Max times. But my point is that industries change. All these things change. And, eventually space had to change. NASA stopped operating. They couldn't afford it. Then you had Blue Horizon and SpaceX dive in. And we just sent someone around the moon for the first time in forever? Who was the spaceship of all the nonsense celebrity people that went up in space? It was Gayle King. It was Beyonce. What was it? It was, who was it? It was, I think, Strahan. Michael Strahan went up in space. They sent a couple groups of celebrities up in space.
I didn't know this.
Where they went up and said, I'm almost positive. Yeah, it was, hold on, I got to look it up because when they did it, it blew my mind.
Anybody could go up in space? You don't need to be trained?
You could pay to do it, yeah.
Yeah, like you could pay to go see the Titanic? Like that worked out so well?
Here we go, listen. So, it was Lauren Sanchez, who's the wife of Jeff Bezos, Katy Perry.
Katy Perry,
of course,
what?
Of all people you send to outer space, Katy Perry. I would love to see what those things look up in outer space. A huge knocker. Sorry, I apologize. Young men, do yourself a favor. Google Katy Perry Simpsons episode with Simpsons puppets, and you'll see exactly why I love Katy Perry. I was trying to find so those, and there was one other, some woman I never heard of. She took a lot of backlash for it. Hold on a second here. With who? With... This is what you call vamping. I'm vamping. Okay, here we go.
What does that mean?
Vamping is what you do when you're on radio and you're just filling time or you're waiting to find out who the caller is. Yeah. So Katy Perry, Lauren Sanchez, Aisha Bowe, who I believe was an actual astronaut, I think. Amanda Gwynn, who was an actual astronaut. And Carrie Ann Flynn, who I believe was an extra astronaut. So they sent 3 celebrities with 3 other ones. That was on a Blue Origin flight. Then I think on a SpaceX flight last year, Michael Strahan and a couple other people went up there. So my point is that we privatized that and now it's moved eons ahead in a short period of time. And as much as we like to think that it won't be privatized, I want to point out that we aren't the most powerful economy right now in the world in terms of production. The ones that kicked our ass is China. And China doesn't care about stealing IP either. They'll steal everybody's intellectual property. Do you a favor, go look at Temu. Or you want to talk about intellectual property theft? Go to Temu. So my point is that we're in a situation where we have to be a little bit more open-minded to how we look at who gets what out of what. And I think some of the old things we hold on from our history of, well, it should be a social need. Just should warm ourselves socially to teach our kids. That's not how things work. That we are in a society that wants to make money.
Yeah.
And we're in a world where we're not falling behind.
Why? Do you think one day America won't be number one anymore?
No, I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Oh.
But when the other countries that are getting close to your level of strength and power have a interest to either wipe you off the map or know that they can't coexist with you, you get yourself closer and closer to a period of tension. And this time we don't have the benefits of what we had with the Soviet Union, where the Soviet Union eventually broke down. They didn't have a system of production. They weren't scientifically advanced. Closing the Iron Curtain in the 1940s really hurt their ability to advance things. I mean, they got through a space program, but eventually the United States won it. And we found out that their nuclear program couldn't be very safe because they almost blew up the entire city of Kiev when Chernobyl blew up. So, and they basically poisoned areas forever. I taught students whose parents were from the Chernobyl area as children. So the point I'm trying to make is that we have this idea that it should just be the common good. But even hospitals are owned by private institutions. Prisons are run by private institutions. To think that
so you think public schools are eventually going to go that route too?
I think we're going to see a lot more privatization. I think we're going to see
numbers decline in public schools. Will they be forced to change?
That's what I'm saying. But think about, look, Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
She gets put in the back of the bus.
Yeah.
Now, I am not comparing these two. I'm just using an example. So the best way to attack that, the NAACP said we're going to send Dr. King to Birmingham and they're going to go ahead and boycott the buses. And the city of Birmingham lost a tremendous amount of money. And the businesses that these African Americans were going to use in the white areas or downtown areas weren't getting the usual backdoor service they were. Remember, the idea was that you could order from these places, but because of the terrible system of Jim Crow, they forced you to go in the back where the dumpsters were to get the food. All those businesses lost money. And the government could not keep the public bus system open. So eventually they had no choice. And the black community, the African American community in Birmingham, basically turned into its own large family. Taxi drivers would take African Americans free fares, their neighbors. There was sympathetic whites that would sometimes help with. Sometimes there would be buses that a couple churches might own. However they could get people into town for their jobs, they continued to do it. And eventually the bus system had to back down because they weren't able to operate. Now, that didn't necessarily fix the entire problem, obviously. But my point is that withdrawal is sometimes the only kind of protest you have that works.
Yeah.
Whenever I would teach my kids, I'd always keep my wallet in my back pocket. This is a true story. And sometimes I would have something in my wallet that I wouldn't want to fall out of it. Maybe it was a key, maybe it was whatever it was. And I would always take my wallet out before my lesson. I would make sure there was nothing loose in my wallet, and I put it back in my back pocket. And whenever we talked about the 1960s, we talked about protest. We talked about what is a protest? What does a protest look like? What's the purpose of a protest? What is a legal protest? What is a riot? When does it change? All that kind of stuff, right? And I would say, you know what, though, guys, you can write to every politician you want. You can protest. You can march in the streets. You can stomp your feet and clap your hands and, scream and yell whatever you want. But until I pull my wallet out of my pocket, until you use this, no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
So now that there's the opportunity for areas with the privatization of this, I think you're going to see a lot more growth because people realize you're also taking the pressure off of the traditional system. The traditional system is not built for this type of mentality. You have to have people that are willing to assess in different ways. You have to have people that are willing to teach in different ways. And that can be very hard when you know what you've been taught to do. So, I think that's where it's going. I think one of the things that leads to, which I'd like to maybe have a conversation about the next time, could be something along the lines of how people in this new world that focuses so much on digital atmospheres and environments should be utilizing self-care. How should we be taking care of ourselves,
Yeah.
And I think that's changed from what it was 10 or 15 years ago to now and even before that.
I think so, too. And I also think that it's different for the individual. I know for me, I like physical fitness, but it's not everybody's interest. So for somebody that's not letting that it's, of course there's benefits to it. The science is there, whatever. But it's not for, now people aren't going to enjoy it. So maybe they enjoy, maybe scrolling, as bad as it could be for you, can be somebody's self-soothing. So we don't really know. I want to talk about ways to, like in the next couple of episodes, ways to provide self-care to yourself.
The gym ain't mine.
Because when
it ain't mine.
It doesn't need to be, though. But like people who...
I like to lift, don't get me wrong, but the gym ain't necessarily
Exactly,
mine.
but it doesn't need to be. But like some people are so good at digital media, but look what you could create. Because gamers. People get addicted to video games, get addicted to playing them, but then there are the gamers that are so addicted that they learn how to create them. And we are living in such a digital media world that people are going to start creating things that you never would have thought could even be a creator or a starter of a business or anything like that. But because it's accessible now, and you don't need to go to stupid traditional school and learn with a textbook and a teacher in front of you and get a degree in it and pay thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to say that you're this sticker of success, because that's the world is not going that right. And the next couple topics that in the next couple of weeks I do want to talk about, I do think colleges are gonna take a decrease in numbers too, because people now can be employed with the same salary that you do when you borrow tons of money to get a job. So what's the point? What's the advantage?
I had a thought as you were speaking. You mentioned the spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on a college education. You know who Lori Loughlin is?
Yeah.
You know who Lori Loughlin is, right? Famous.
Yes.
She was on a Full House, and then she went to jail. All right.
Yes.
When you know how much deans make at universities, you find how much the presidents and the provosts make at state universities. All right. And I'm not talking about the people. I'm just going to finish my thought. So when you talk about colleges and universities, right?
Yeah.
The highest paid employee at a college university is typically going to be a coach. Head basketball coach.
Or
football coach, one of those two, right? Depending on what the school is. School like Kentucky puts more value in basketball, so the men's basketball coach probably make more and then at Duke, you're probably going to get a higher paid basketball coach. So it all depends what your school values. But the next highest people paid are your provosts and your deans and all of those kind of people, right? And you imagine how much a college degree costs, right? Lori Loughlin got in trouble.
Oh yeah, they were
for helping her kid get right. It was about SAT scores or bribing like or whatever else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're angry at them, the academics who make basically similar money in their fields are angry at the celebrities for using their monetary influence. But the money that the administrators make at the universities is very similar. To me, it's very much like the rich pointing at the rich. Mm-hmm. And it bothers me a little bit because the university is supposed to be about places where you can learn. That if you actually look at stuff that happens on college campuses, this is what I want to close with. This is why this kind of stuff is so important. And this is about Charlie Kirk. You could say people could complain about what he believed and what he didn't believe and so on and so forth. Me and Marissa talked that day. I cried. Mm-hmm. I cried. Not because I love the man that much, because he did what I think these people need so much, is an open forum to debate and argue. You can dislike what he has to say. There's some things that he said that I didn't like. There's also some things that he said that I think were taken out of context, that out of the context way I didn't like them, but he didn't actually say them that way. What happened to him should have scared us so much to be able to take a step back and go, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Right? What happens if one of the kids there had been shot instead?
Oh my gosh.
Or the guy or the woman that was shot in Pennsylvania, the Italian firefighter who was struck when they tried to hit Trump. Right? These people die innocently or could have died innocently. So, and not only that, now we're starting to create a sense of fear out of people. And it's...
But my fear would be that if, God forbid, somebody else died and the targeted person that he tried to kill Charlie and he was successful. But if he wasn't and killed somebody else, then I think the narrative would change and it would be because Charlie's on that campus, raising all of this attention, hurting kids' feelings, attacking their way they believe, challenging. That's the thing. That's the thing. Instead, we don't like healthy education. We don't like,
Well, that's
we
the
don't
message
like
I was
points
making.
of view. We don't like that. We like, you think like me or
Yeah.
I hate you.
That's the message I was making. That the people that make the decisions, the people that are paid the highest, know that it is a pretty easy gig for what they're making money for. They see the people, your investment banker friends, they see how much work corporate America takes, and they know that in their realm, they got it pretty good. And so they don't want to lose that cushy corner office and the furniture and the, you know, and the brandy closet. They don't want to lose all that. So my point is that I think sometimes we give credit to people in academia when they don't necessarily deserve that level of credit and respect simply because they're trained to be academics.
Yeah.
And that's why I really wanted to focus on really self-care and talking about where, you know, the situation goes for kids at home and for you know, young people at home, because, you know, people that are our age either have kids or have friends that have kids. And so it's just important to understand. And then not only that, but when you see what goes on in the media and you see the kind of stuff that happens in different parts of the country that you're not from, maybe you have a deeper understanding about it. But this was a blast. I had a lot of fun.
I
think we managed to kill the batteries 5 or 6 times.
Yep.
That's pretty neat. Do you do a hard close?
We're gonna wrap up here. Well, I'll do an outro.
Okay.
Yeah. But thank you so much. But we're gonna do this more often.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I'm moving up to the boonies outside of Orlando. Me and my wife found a new neighborhood that we really like. We're buying a house in there. And again, positives of being a remote teacher. I can go wherever I want. I don't lose my job. Cool. But to make a long story short, I started a podcast myself a few months ago. I had to take a break because what we do at our school is we have 2 months of testing where most schools have 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So we are busy at hotels for 2 months. So I have not really been solid more than a day or two really since about the end of March. So having said all that, I took a break from it. But I'm going to get back to it. But we're going to do some split screen stuff. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun.
That'll be
and it'll all be different topics. So I'm excited for that. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Thanks so much for listening to Tell Me Everything. I hope today's episode gave you a fresh perspective, a little inspiration, or just something that made you pause and think. If you enjoyed it, make sure you are following the show so we can keep the conversation going. And share it with anyone you think might love it too. I'm so glad you spent this time with me today. Until next time.